Hey guys, so I wanted to do something a little bit different. It's sort of like a news segment, if you want to call it that. But I really wanted to try to figure out, you know, are we gonna get more DLC for Mortal Kombat 1? So there's tons of different things that go into it. Like there's lots of different things happening right now, and it's really been something that the internet has been putting its ideas into and their theories and stuff. So I thought I just might share my opinions on it as well. And personally, I do think we'll get at least a little bit more DLC for it. I don't think we'll get like a full big expansion like an Ultimate Edition with like 6 or 7 new characters. I think it'll be smaller than that, but I'll get more into that in a minute. So I'm mostly going to be focusing at things. I'm mostly going to be focusing on things that point towards us having more DLC rather than not, because the biggest thing that points towards it not is simply the code, where there's just not a ton of code for these things in there for new stuff. But for one thing, the leakers, the data miners or whatever, didn't know that Madame Bo was coming, the new cameo fighter that they surprised us with for free, as long as you bought the already existing pack. So, because of that, there's definitely room for those things to not have been discovered by the leakers to this point. Um, so, that's basically just to say that anything can happen. We really don't know what is still in the files and what they have in store for us. So, the first reason that I think that we'll get some more DLC is simply because of how the roster is shaped right now. Because if you look on either end of the roster select screen, for the main fighters, the cameo fighters look fine. It has like this weird L shape on both sides, and it's like there's one more square on both sides to where you could fill in with 3 more on each side and make a perfect square. Now, that and in 11, they had a similar shape to this, because it was like a larger one, like vertical, not horizontal roster size. But uh, that one, the game ended with a kind of lopsided one where like the top row had 3 and the bottom row had 4, or the other way around, whatever. But there were a lot of issues with that game because the last um, DLC for that game came out in May of 2020. So most of their DLC that they had probably planned for the game, including things like Ash Williams and other stuff like that, were cut short due to COVID and licensing and other stuff like that. So, given more time, I think that definitely could have been fixed. So, now with no time constraints, I would assume, um, I think they could actually fix this with more DLC. Uh, Although this isn't like a major thing that they would consider because they have left it blank before, like I said. But I think it's something they'll take into consideration before they are completely done with the game. The next is just the state of the game overall. Like, people are really enjoying the game right now a lot more than they used to. Like, a lot of the problems, like, the Switch version runs better now. It still runs not very good, but it's just the Switch. Um, the monetization has been toned down a lot. Like, there are very few skins now that are worth $10. They're usually like $4 or $5. There's many ways that you can earn in-game currency, so you have to spend real money to get those things. Um, but they have a lot more roster characters and cameo characters, just a lot of things that would, and the Towers of Time and the animalities, just a lot of things that got this game much more fleshed out than what it originally was, because this game was rushed because of Warner Brothers telling them they had to get it out. It was probably like, according to what I've heard, it's like 6 to 12 months early than what they were actually planning to release it on. So characters like, well, for one reason I think we're getting more is like characters like Ermac and Quan Chi are in the story mode. They have models in the game from day one, and they just didn't have time to finish their movesets and all their animations and all that stuff, so they had to save them for DLC. So you know there's at least 2 characters in there that were planned for later DLC, whether it's, I don't know, like Jax and Kano or something, that at least had some work done on them at some point to fill up more roster spots that were going to be either in the pack we're in now or the one earlier, or something like that, instead of pushing back main roster spots to that point. So, my point in saying all this is that a lot of people online and the general community are extremely happy with where this game is and are really excited, if it can, for it to move forward and to keep adding stuff because of how good it's gotten compared to the first couple of months of the launch of the game. Another thing that's actually important is how Ed Boon, the creator and like the director of these games, how much he's still been talking about the game and stuff that people like, just answering questions as much as he can without giving actual information away on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. There was a post a couple months ago, or it was the day that Conan the Barbarian released into the game. I'm not on Twitter, I just know that people tell me this stuff, but there was a thing where he said that we're happy to continue to be trucking along with more DLC to come, and it showed part of T1000's fatality with the truck and everything. So at this point, we didn't know that Madame Bo was coming, so maybe he was talking about her, and T1000 Madame Bo would be it, and then we'd be done. That's possible, but just for how much he's answering questions and how much he's still drumming up hype for the game, including releasing and saying stuff about the Mortal Kombat 2 movie and the skins coming from that to the game at some point, when that movie doesn't come out till October. Like, there's just so much that he's been saying online that he seems like he's not done with this compared to like, why would he talk so much about a dead video game? You know what I mean? Like, I know they don't have a next game announced yet, but you would think at least he'd be drumming down a little bit of hype for it, not to get people too excited. But I don't know, that's just what I thought. Another really important thing is the fact that they announced tournaments, like right before Conan came out. They had trailers for new tournaments that are still happening now. We had one like 2 weeks ago, and then there's another one in the end of May, and there's tons more Mortal Kombat 1 tournaments that are being held by Warner Brothers, not just random people in the community. It's by them themselves. They're paying for it. Mountain Dew is sponsoring all this stuff. So why would you do this? Like, when it's being announced, like, if T1000 was the last character, when they're announcing it, the game has about a month and a half left before its generally last big update. Like, why would you advertise for a tournament that's going to go across the rest of the year, or at least most of the rest of the year, if the game is going to be done before, like, just slightly after you even start those tournaments? Like, that doesn't make sense. So, the tournaments, they have multiple ones across the US and Mexico and stuff, and the winners of those go to Vegas and Evo sometime this year to do the finals. So that's how that works. But, like, yeah, it just doesn't make sense to announce that sort of stuff if they don't have more stuff coming. But, and just really the biggest thing, and my final point for this, is just that the amount of time that they have left until their next game. And what I mean by this is, the pattern that they would used to go by is they would go um, Mortal Kombat game, Injustice game, which is their DC fighting games. So Mortal Kombat, Injustice, MKX, Injustice 2, MK11, and now we jump to MK1. We skipped Injustice 3. So presumably the next game will be Injustice 3, but we don't know. The reason I say that is because if this game, if Mortal Kombat 1 is done now, who knows? And like they're not close to finishing Injustice 3 yet. They could have maybe a year before they even announce anything new for their next game. Like that doesn't make sense. Typically, like for certain games like Street Fighter 6 or like Street Fighter in general or Tekken to mainly have one game every 5 to 10 years, something like that. Like having gaps of time where nothing is happening is normal for those franchises. But for NetherRealm, who makes these games, that's the studio's name, to have Mortal Kombat and Injustice and pretty much do those bi-yearly, every 3 years, something like that, with DLC throughout in between, like, some of it, like, it just doesn't make sense for them to stop Mortal Kombat 1 where it's at now, unless in the next, like, 3 weeks or something, we're gonna have a big event or whatever, and they're gonna show us Injustice 3 or even the next Mortal Kombat if that's what Warner Brothers is telling them to do. So it just doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know exactly what events are coming up soon. There's Summer Games Fest in summer, obviously. It's like June, maybe July. But there, if you go into the game and you look in the invasion season, typically up to this point, they haven't missed one. At the end of every season, there would be a new character added, not not cameo fighter, just new character period. And when T1000 released, it said 55 days on it, which would be sometime in the middle of May or something like that. So we have to hear something soon. Like if I think if we get to that date of whatever, May 12th, something like that, we get to May 12th, the new season comes, and there's no new character, then I think that would be pretty much hard confirmation that, yeah, they're done, because they've never missed one of those. And they might have missed one because of, or no, they didn't miss one. I'm right. Uh, so it's understandable that they may not, there may be another year of nothing happening until Injustice 3 simply because they had COVID, which they had to finish up MK11 fast, and then they had to move on to the next one. And because they had Mortal Kombat 1 out early, then if it was supposed to not come out till 24 in October instead of 23 in October, then it would stand to reason that if we had gone by that timeline, the next March would be when we would be done. We would be at the same point in 26 if everything came out in the order it was supposed to. So maybe by that point they might have had Injustice 3 ready to at least show something and say, hey, coming out November of this year or whatever. So maybe they're going to have just a year of nothing happening and just it's abnormal because of that. But I don't know. As for the characters I think they'll include, I think they're gonna do, if they're gonna do more, I would love for them to do what they did for the first two packs, which is 6 characters, 3 MKs, 3 guest characters, which would be John Wick, Doomslayer, and Michael Myers or whatever, and then but and then however many cameos are in there as well. I don't think that's what they're going to do. My guess is they'll do what they did for Combat Pack 2 in Mortal Kombat 11, where they'll have 3 characters. They'll have 2 new ones and one, or 2 Mortal Kombat characters and 1 guest character. They would still have to figure out what best to do with the roster with that. You know, do they just shift everything to the side and put them? I don't know. There has to be something that they figure out. Maybe it's 4 characters. You know, make it L on one side for the Mortal Kombat and then just put 1 right under T1000 for the guests. I don't know. But just for how big this game has been so far, it hasn't sold as much as Mortal Kombat 11, but that was firstly because most of that lifespan happened within COVID, so people were just playing any game they could get their hands on for those 12 months. And second is, if you go on um, any storefront, whether you go to GameStop, Walmart, or even go online for sales on the Xbox store or PlayStation store, I've bought it probably 2 or 3 times. I never paid more for $10 than the ultimate edition of that game, and just for how much replayability with the costumes and Towers of Time and all that stuff. Yeah, you can pretty much see how, for the hardcore fans, they didn't love that game because of gameplay and all of that. But for a casual audience, for it to have sold as much as it did, purely just comes down to the fact that for the last couple of years, it's been a $10 game where you get the entire thing. So, and I think like the Ultimate Edition right now, when it comes on sale, which is every now and then, this game is $20. So, and I think that's great. Not great for them making their money back, but I mean, great for sales in general. So either we're gonna hear something about more DLC in the next couple of days or weeks or something. Probably this is March 24th, so maybe the second week of April. We'll hear something, or there's gonna be some big event, or there's gonna be some just trailer that shows up on YouTube that is something new for Injustice 3, like reveal trailer for Injustice 3 or whatever the next Mortal Kombat is. So those are my thoughts. You can let me know in the comments down below what you think. And thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. And I'll see you all next time.